Live. Apparently we're live. Okay. Oh boy, can I turn that off? Oh, this is great. Hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me because okay. How do I do this? All right. So I'm trying to stream to Instagram right now, and the problem is it's now blurting into my head, like volume wise. Please, how do I mute the volume? This is good. Do you remember that time I tried something different? How do I do this? What if I do this? And what if I do
You
this?
are already
This is great. We're figuring it out. Everybody is so like, oh, yay for Carl is figuring it out. Carl is figuring it out right now. Hi, can somebody turn their mic on and talk to me?
Check 1, 2, this is the mic. I'm still talking with a delay.
That's fantastic. So you can hear a delay as well? No one can hear a delay. Thanks. Yes, I can see it. I'm streaming. Thank you. If everybody else could have a chat right now.
Hello.
Okay, that's
good.
So everybody can hear themselves.
Hello.
Wow, this is exciting. Okay, well, let's do this. Welcome, if you've joined us. This is Art of Rock. And we do this every Saturday, and we're going to try and start streaming again because I stopped streaming for a while because of reasons. Here we are, we're back, and I'm missing Diana today because it's never the same without Diana. First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge the Tongva people for being the traditional landowners of Los Angeles. This is the Art of Rock. We're going to predominantly do this on Saturdays. There, go join us. Saturdays, this time every Saturday, probably with just as many technical hitches. We're going to do it, and it's going to be great fun. Remember to join ANGELSPIT'S Patreon. It's there. These amazing people help me keep me going and all that jazz, and I really couldn't do this without them. And the objective is we keep everyone going. That's what we do. ANGELSPIT'S new album is called The Bastard Gods, and it's there. Go grab it. It's on BANDCAMP. It's the most amazingly terrifying, fucked up thing you've ever heard. There's a whole bunch of other fucked up shit if you want to hear it on the Industrial Incisions playlist, which is there. Many of the bands here are on it. And then after this, we go to MTV TV, which is the best place in the 15 galaxies to go and get your stuff. Welcome to the Outer Rock. We're going to talk about QR codes because we get together and we talk about stuff from the perspective of stuff. So we're going to talk about QR codes. Throw up your damn hands and let's have a party about QR codes, because partying about QR codes is how we do it. Who wants to talk about QR codes? Wow, seriously, I couldn't shut you guys up before about QR codes. Alex, talk to me.
Well, maybe I'm not the best one to start, but I'll do it anyway. So people in my area usually have stickers for their musical projects, and they're usually like some sort of joke, something that grabs attention, and they put their QR code onto the stickers in order to pay attention, and it usually leads to the Spotify page or BANDCAMP. And one was like it's not like I want you to stream my music or anything, but here's the link. And other people had like amazing artwork, and then the link, like something to grab your attention. That was my experience with it. I haven't tried it myself, but I thought it was really clever.
That's great. So the question we've got is, how can you use a QR code to promote your band? And that's what we're going on about here. So Aaron, talk to me. What do you think about this?
I think the best possible use of it would be, on social media or your YouTube that you're already promoting while they're already watching it. You could have that QR code up on your screen to where they can grab it. You could already plan and have everything baked in, like the discounts that you would already possibly extend to people via Bandcamp Friday or any kind of special gig, or Who knows? It could be a behind the scenes gig. I mean, the point is pin whatever content you want to that QR code, and it's there instead of trying to roll out paragraphs and paragraphs and trying to digitally twist somebody's arm to please click on the URL. I think it's a great source, you know, and they're already tuning into your brand. So why not further promote it, you know, and have something pop up on the screen that they can tap into.
This is amazing. There's a whole bunch of questions that are coming up here, and you know the core one is promotion, and that's whoa. Here we go. This is good. Just before I throw it to you, Rezi, I see your hand. My question back to you is: how does a QR code on a web thing work? Like, do you take your phone and point it at the thing to scan it, or if you're looking at it already on your phone, is there a way to utilize and read QR codes when you're looking at a QR code on the device that you use to scan the QR code? Does that make sense? English isn't my first language, by the way. So you're welcome, Aaron, to reply to that.
I'm not sure about the baked in aspect if you're already viewing on your phone, because that could be the that therein lies the rub, that you're already on it. I think there might be like something that pops up to where you could put a hyperlink, or you could put that QR to where they could tap it. But I definitely know if you're looking at the TV or a computer screen, you pull your camera up and 98% of the time it's like, bang, got you. I see what you're, yeah, I see that QR code, and do you want to go there? It will like help you route. But that's a great question about if you're already on the phone, how do they tap into it?
Because like obviously QR codes are amazing if you have them out and about, or as the Canadians say, oot and about. So you can jump on there, scan it, and butter, depending, of course, obviously that whatever you're sending it to is up to date, because that QR code might stay on the pole for years, which is a great thing about Linktree and stuff. But thank you. I'm going to throw this to Razzie, aka the Razinator. Hit me.
Hello. I neglected to take notes of the three things that are now flying around in my head about that. But one, you said the permanence of what the link actually goes to. That's an important one. Two, whether it's a visual or link mechanism that's for something that's already on your screen. And then, okay, networking after it and what the purpose is. Those are the three. Generally speaking, a QR code is something that is going to be in a place that can be seen. So you would intend to print it on something like a poster or a sticker or something that you can visually pick up with your eyes, and that you could point a smart device camera at, and the camera app would know that if this pattern shows up, I'm going to decode the URL that's in it and send the user to that when they tap the link. Optionally, some of them do it automatically, but it is mostly meant for something that you print and can see and can point a phone at in camera. If it's in the middle of an image that you're sharing somewhere, it's up to that image sharing software that you're loading it in. Who knows? You're looking at it in Instagram. Maybe Instagram knows how to decode it and put a link up. They could do that. But the main thing is, for a QR code, it's something that you print out, share visually. You can see it. You can point a camera at it. The next thing that happens, though, is where the interesting shit happens. Like, who cares? It could be a written URL. It could be http://. It could be an RFID tag. But the thing that it links to is yours. If you're going to do some sort of short link service, like a link shortening thing, or link it directly to a Linktree account, or link it directly to a Facebook or a YouTube video in particular, that is where the link rot happens. Carl mentioned this thing's going to be on a poll for 10 years. 5 years, 2 months, a week. And going back to my SEO and being an internet website developer person in the 90s, or whenever we started doing that crap, it was really important to own your relationship with whoever is clicking on this thing. And if you put intermediaries in the middle, send them to Facebook, then Facebook's got the customer relationship. If you send them to Linktree, Linktree's got the customer relationship. If you send them to a link shortener service, then they've got the relationship with the customer. And how much value you're getting from that can be measured, and it might be very important, you know, for you to put somebody in the middle. But what I'm getting to, long way around, is send them to your damn website. Own a website, own a domain name, have something that you own in perpetuity and can always renew for a nominal fee my awesome band dot zoom, I don't know why Zoom came in, dot pb, and that's the thing that you can then, if you want to have trackable individual encodings after the slash in your URL that's encoded in the QR code, sure, do it. But you got to really want to be tracking that stuff. If you ever have anything after the slash, send them to the top of your website. That's where you're going to send them. If you're doing individual campaigns, capture it there. Totally cool. But that's a lot of extra overhead. For what we're really getting at, and I'll bring it around to the second point and then stop. Attracting people. Aaron, you had mentioned twisting their arm to do something. This is talking about making it a little bit less frictionful. You just say the name of your band from the stage. It's about as powerful because they're going to go to the domain name.com for your band. If you show a person a QR code in the middle of a very, very interesting poster, they're going to land on it that way because of the enticement, maybe. That's cool too. But what happens after that is super important. And that's updating the landing page on your website. They're going to your website. What's the current campaign? What's the thing you really want them to see now? And that can change and evolve. And then 6 months from now, when they capture that QR code out of curiosity because your marketing piece is so good, they're going to land on the current stuff and also be able to go back to where you were at the time, ostensibly, if you wanted to keep it around when you put up that code in the first place by looking through the history on your website. I know it's an old-fashioned notion. Nobody goes to websites, but this way, you are the direct recipient of that link. You get the customer. You can funnel them or interact with them or entertain them or create a piece of art for them to land on and look at and have a direct experience. All of that stuff is yours.
Thank you. Okay, that's great. Just really quickly, before I throw this to Ivan, it's really interesting how, like, that's so true. You know, I used to make patches, and the material patches had QR codes on them, and obviously they had to be printed in white. So the printing was black, not black with printing on white, because that means when the QR code tried to scan it, it actually scanned the wrong thing because it was scanning an inverted image. Just saying, unless you printed an inverted image, sometimes I wonder, why do I talk so much? But yeah, sending it to your website is really important. If you're going to do a physical thing, or if you're going to, you know, print a thing like a material patch or something like that. But thank you so much, Ivan. I want your brain to fill my brain with amazingness.
Yeah, Renzi's 100% right. On the location that it's going to send them to, it's yours. You can keep it updated and keep it moving and keep it engaging. You know, that's probably the most important thing that the destination can do is it must be engaging in some way. It's because the lifetime of somebody on a web page is, if it's not engaging, is amazingly short. It used to spend a lot of time looking at these kinds of stats, and you know, the better that landing is, you know, the longer they're going to stay. So, you know, that landing point it's a great place to put music or video, because as soon as you can get them to click on music or video, they're going to stay longer.
Yeah, and pushing it directly to the product itself.
Yes.
Like, that's really important. Like, bam, here's the track or the video or the t-shirt that you're selling or whatever. Vince, I would love to hear your thoughts. Go.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts here. Like, there are those of us that don't have the option to pay for a web domain. Like, I do not even have I actually own a web domain. I think I paid $14.99 for it for a lifetime ownership. I have not set it up or done anything with it, because I previously had a web domain before that. I had to buy it. I had to buy the same web domain again to get this one, but luckily it was available again after I lost it years ago. Now I just use Linktree because I can update that whenever I need to, and it's free. And if I have money at some point to put into it, they do have a paid service option where you own the web domain through them. So I can set up a website either way. I have the option, but right now I like Linktree because I can update it and it's free. and it constantly changes. Every time I release something, the links at the top are different, and I rearrange things so it works out. So whatever I'm selling at the time is pretty close to the top of the list. So it should be right there. And it's, again, free. That's the biggest thing for me, really, because I don't have money to put into these kind of things. As far as a QR code in web content, so it's already on their screen, most people view things on their phone as far as that goes. So you're kind of, it's not necessarily a bad idea to put a QR code in your Instagram post or your Facebook post or whatever it is, because it is dependent on your viewers and your fan base or your audience, or however you want to put it, being a little bit tech savvy. But if you, just a little bit, if you screenshot the QR code and open it in Google Photos will find the link automatically in the QR code. It'll tell you there's a QR code in the image and ask you if you want to go to the link when you open it in the Photos app. And if it doesn't, you use Google Lens and that will give you the link. It'll scan for QR codes. So there is a way to do it. Not everybody's going to do it. You're going to have you'll probably have more click-throughs or more views of the website in general with your QR code on physical merch of some sort, or a poster or a flyer or whatever. But it is absolutely possible to view it without using your phone to look at it or having a separate app, because I don't know about iPhones, but I know since Android phones are actually the majority of smartphone users, most people are looking at it on an Android phone, which comes preloaded with Google Photos. So you just use the Google Lens part of Photos and it picks up what you've got there. So it's not necessarily a block from getting people to see it. It just means less people will see it.
Okay, that's really. Oh, sorry, you're still going?
No, you're good.
All right, Vince, thank you. That's great. I didn't know about the basic stuff like screen printing and stuff because I am an idiot, but that's fine. The world needs idiots because you got to laugh. Alex, hit me with your wisdom.
Another cool thing I've seen people do with QR codes is make them an artwork in itself. I saw people using neural networks to do that. So they took the QR code and said, make it a city or make it a forest. And then the AI made like a picture which was a functional QR code, but also like something to look at. And in theory, you could also do that with your own artwork. I think you just have to check if it still works, and you have to have the pattern in it. So it might be a bit more effort, but I thought it was really cool and very special because hardly anyone does that.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks, man. Aaron, hit me.
I was going to say in tandem too. I mean, it also brings up the notion of like, how often does your project come up? And I would argue it's how often do you pimp or promote it, you know? So working with QR codes, etc. I mean, who's to say that you can't laminate it, keep it on a card in your wallet, keep it in between your phone and your phone case, keep it on a tumbler cup that you carry every day and refill and drink out of. So that way, if you're blathering about X, Y, and Z, they could zap a QR code, go straight to it. I've just had a really good experience with, you know, I don't have to dole out 500 paper cards. I still like paper cards, but you can do, you know, carrying it with you. And then, yeah, you incentivize the people that actually utilize your QR codes, you know, however you want to pimp or promote it on your page, but be like, glad you're here. Here's a download, you know, it's things that you might otherwise be posting for free anyway. So why not just be like, here you go, you know, and you could route it to, you know, to that catalog or to that teaser, or like everybody said, awesome imagery, digital content, BANDCAMP Friday stuff, and.
That's brilliant, man. Thank you. You know, just before I throw it to you, Brett, it's a really great idea. I've come to the conclusion that people you actually meet, shake their hand and get in their face, and they are most likely going to be checking things out. And I think that if you having a card or something, like you said, you know, I really question business cards. What do? They go in the bin. They fill your wallet up, and every 6 months you just empty them out. So if you actually carry something with you and somebody asks you about your band or your project or whatever, you just show it to them right there and then, and they can go boom, and it's got whatever social media contents. It might even have like a free, here, download this track for free. Oh, by the way, I'm running a 10% off. Here's a 10% discount off my merch store, stuff like that. I used to do that sort of thing on tour. I would have a QR code on the merch table, and they'd scan the QR code and they'd get 15 or 20% off or something on the merch site, knowing that it will get shipped in 2 months because I'm not going to be home for a while. But nevertheless, this is very fascinating. Brett, I want to hear your thoughts. Go.
So this is just a thought based on going out to eat last night. On my receipt, there was a QR code to actually pay the bill. So my thought, based on this discussion, is maybe as an alternative. I mean, of course, there is the social media sites that you could tie it to, but maybe instead you do it more directed. So, like, if you're throwing up a video or something like that, maybe the QR code goes to your Venmo, and it's like, hey, here's a way to leave me a tip. And then, of course, there's other aspects from that. You know, if you're out live or whatever and you're doing something cool, here's a piece of art. You want to tag that to, I mean, I know NFTs are kind of meh, but you want to tag that to an NFT, there you go. Turn it into a vehicle to make it easy for people to pay you.
That's actually really good. And once again, it's coming to the importance of hitting the actual spot. Like, no click-throughs, just pop, there it is. And if you've just joined us on Instagram or wherever, we're talking, this is Out of Rock. We join every Saturday and we talk about stuff. Everything from production to promotion to mental health to absolutely everything. And right now we're talking about QR codes, and this is going into some really cool marketing stuff for your band. Razzie, blow my mind. Go.
You kind of just brought it right back to where I was trying to go, and that's like marketing ideas for your band, which I'm still trying to get my head around why we're even talking about these type of 2D codes as the way to share a prompt to users that they're going to click on something. But Alex brought it around to incorporating this in the artistic presentation of something. And if it happens to be a grid that you recognize as is going to be a link when you point your camera at it, there might be something there. But I don't. The other thing is, like Brett was mentioning, we're associating these dumb codes with like how you pay for your parking shit when you go to the lot, or how you get the toast tab thing on your receipt. They're not interesting or cool on their own, and they're kind of a turnoff because it's another, you know, roll my eyes. Oh, now I've got to go through this and open a camera app and do the thing. I maybe personally they don't resonate with me in that way as a way to share a prompt to touch more information about my musical project, in the same way that just putting the name of the act on there. Is it old-fashioned to think that somebody's going to type that into the top of their web browser and that's automatically by default a search anyway, and it's going to come up with hits on your thing? Maybe. Are we definitely linking to a specific artistic message within the context of this beautified, as Alex linked to, the artistic version that connects with something that's a next step? Are we then having a call to action like Carl was talking about what the next thing actually is? Is there a sales pitch on that? And those are the real areas to like consider where it is. Whether or not you've typed a text URL or a 2D code or a RFID, I'm just not feeling like that's much of an issue. If it resonates with your project in an organic way, or if it has some sort of statement that you want to make, I get it. But I don't find like a whole lot of, yeah, put the code in there if it works with your layout, and if you think people are going to be able to see it and recognize it, and if there's a call to action or an artistic, you know, through line to something, then I start getting it. But really, it wants something more. And Fluctuation on the YouTube chat mentions a couple of cool things about that next step, as far as web page presentation and free websites and how to get that stuff sorted rather than going to one of the free. Linktree is a free website. I mean, it's just that you don't get to use your own domain name. There are other ways to do a free website that is your own domain name. But yes, you do have to pay, and I'm sensitive to that, Vince. Like, totally makes sense. It becomes more work. It definitely becomes more overhead. But that's what I'm kind of getting into, is like finding a real personal investment and reason to want to present this code in a way and have it connect to something that's a message that carries the artistic thing and goes to a song or a video or more artwork or pay me. Maybe there's something there. I'm a little bit spitballing, I realize, but experiences through the whole thing that feel necessary to you, and aren't you looking, here's a solution, how do I fit this into my work? It's kind of like feels a little bit backwards to me.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Fluctuation, or is it fluctuation? I'm not sure. I'm reading a lot of your comments on YouTube. They're really good about the importance of having it going back to your website and having something there that's really cool, which is something I want to talk about. But first, here's Alex.
Yeah, I have a question about that. Does anybody know if you can make your own link page on BandZoogle or something? Or do I have to make my own website using, how's it called, Block?
I'm going to quickly say yes in many cases. It depends on the framework that you're using, but if it's Squarespace or whatever, if you've got a CMS, yes, there's a plugin that'll do a link list. I mean, pretty trivially, but it is a little bit of work, but generally, yes.
Thank you. Yeah, and the other thing is, I think the great thing about like physical stuff or files that are downloadable is that you keep yourself in the life of the person you're trying to attract as a listener, as a fan, that it's like not just the one time where they like encounter you, but every time they see that file on the computer, every time they have that card in their hands. Yeah.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. I try and get into the habit that I have a pimp day, which is Monday, where I try and figure out what I'm pimping, what it looks like, and all that jazz. It's really difficult to keep it fresh, as they say. I find the concept of keeping it fresh to be really, 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 really hard. Because there's a whole pile of internet exhaustion and all that jazz going on. So it's hard to, it's just hard. I find it really difficult. Like, you know, it's funny, you know, we've mentioned, you know, the 90s and early 2000s. And I remember when there were these websites that were just absolutely fantastic, you know, beautiful website designs, beautiful. And I feel, or maybe I'm not seeing it anymore, I just don't know, but I'm always inspired to try and to create something that is just, but finding the time, finding that's hard. You know what I mean? So I don't know, just trying to think new. Yeah. Because one of the comments here is that, you know, people are lazy. And I know that the exhaustion and everything makes it hard to, you know, anyway, that's not making very much sense. Razzie, I see your hand.
Carl, you've said it before, is like using your voice, inserting your personality is kind of automatic when you put something up, and intermediaries like that have their own templates and looks like Facebook and Instagram, like kind of get in the way of that. to some extent. Obviously you're expressing your personality, but Carl, you're talking about like sending people to a page that you created in your words and maybe has your artwork on it or your collaborative stuff is more direct in not having to think through doing something dramatically. I mean, the age of individual musicians making groundbreaking tech demo web pages is, it's 20 years ago. Nobody cares. But your own words and your own images and your own picture and your own makeup and your own fashion and your own music and your own video clip on that thing becomes your own space, and it becomes a little tiny haven that we also talk about, that you carved out, where there's nothing else competing on it, unless you have an ugly web browser with a lot of Chrome around it. Then it's competing a little bit, but you've dominated your own space and you've presented your own personality, and without nearly, I'm susceptible to that barrier too. I mean, trying to think of the next thing gets in the way of just doing a thing, but whatever you put there is yours, and it's not even a requirement that you always link a QR code to your home top level of your website. You can do a sublink, slash whatever, that's fine, but you put something of your own there without the competition from everybody else, and you've come a long way to achieving what you're talking about with thinking something up. You made a thing, take a picture or a video of your thing, put it on your website and put 2 words. You've got a new, unique piece of shareable creation to give to people. Maybe it's not as hard as we make it sometimes.
Thank you. It's interesting. And Aaron, I see your hand. I'm just going to respond. Yeah, it's, we've been having the conversation about the wall that's in your mind. And this conversation we were having right now is brilliant. QR codes, marketing, it's all great. But at the end of the day, you got to do it. And I guess I'm learning that my brain, your brain, our brains deliver cool ideas when you're not expecting it. When you allow your brain to just go off and go into la la land, and it comes up with these ideas, goes with the unicorns, and back come these ideas. So trying to find that clarity of mind, this is now getting into mental health. This is now getting into, wow, the internet is such a horribly fucked up place, that there is constant pressure. There is constant, oh, well, I really want to do a video, but I really hate the way I look. And that thing that everybody feels. But then when you see somebody who, it's like, oh, I could do that. And it's, this is a neurological barrier that I am constantly fighting with myself to overcome. And I realize a lot of it has to do with, and you said it before, people don't care. And now, unfortunately, I don't care either, because I am overloaded with internet bullshit, and I am overloaded with stuff and obligation and blah, 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 blah. And the thing that I need to remember is that everybody else probably is too. And I think marketing and stuff has got to a point where perhaps the most effective thing for a band to do is just scream hysterically at the camera. Because somebody is going to get to a point soon where I just have this hope and feeling that punk happened partly because of ABBA, but it didn't. But you know what I mean? That, anyway, look, it's incredible. The self-censoring thing in my brain, it's kicking in so hardcore right now. It's really fascinating, actually, that, oh, I don't know, am I allowed to say that? Oh, I don't know, am I allowed to think that? Fascinating. Where does that come from? Like what piece of fear that has been slowly, intravenously bullshitted into my fucking system that is now closing me down as a risk-based artist? Because if you're an artist, you're risk-based, is now whittling away at my, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, which is the fundamental message of artists everywhere. Rezi, did you want to talk about that, or because I
totally want to jump on that? Yeah, if Aaron, I know your hand is up too, but I think that that is a huge symptom of being in the context of the algorithmic feed up against other people's genitalia measurings and shouting and screaming. And I think taking it out of that context with a bit of a fuck it and putting it into your own space can be a relief. I'm not saying it's a solution for everybody. I haven't found it to be, but there's a path toward not participating in that bullshit corporate thing that you're already subtextually relating to railing against. And then, oh, but I'm going to put it in the feed of the biggest company in the world and they're going to benefit from it. And there's a lot to that that fucks with your head when you're trying to be an artist or trying to give a personal message. And we rely on that for the discovery component because people, I sometimes put a thing up and 10,000 people that I don't even know put a thing on it. My God, the impact of that. And if you put it on your website behind your own URL and domain name, oh, I got 6 clicks this month. That's rough. The difference is stark. But one isn't, you know, if you've got to extricate from the corporate identity and the personal artistic identity, there is a path to doing that. And maybe there's something there that we could like lean on a little more heavily.
Once again, and Aaron, I see your hand. I'm going to throw this to you. I'm going to shut up. And then it comes to fear. And, you know, sometimes fear is really interesting because it manifests itself in apathy, in curl yourself up in a little ball and don't say anything. What's fascinating to me now is that fear is even stopping the thought process before it comes out of my mouth. Like it's inside my head now, and it is editing thoughts and creative thoughts inside my head. And that's never happened before for me. Normally it's barreling on out of there. And then, but now it's in the actual seeds of the creative process itself. That I recognize self-censorship in what I'm doing. And that to me is remarkably concerning because you're an artist and you got to go there. You got to go there, regardless of how people, or you fear, there's that word again, how people are going to react to you. You've got to go there. That's another spiel. But right now, Aaron, I'd love to hear what you have to say. And thank you for being patient, Aaron. Aaron, you are muted.
Hey, we're back. Oh, you missed a whole bunch of shit. I was just discussing the subplot for Jurassic Park 2. Anyway, no, if I were to hop in the DeLorean and find Zoog from the past, there's an idea that I really liked that you had said to where you said a track is never finished, it is merely abandoned. But I think that kind of intersects with what you're talking about right now with if it's a self-censorship or if it's how to strategize or how do I do X, Y, and Z and like put this out to where it's palatable or, you know, you're trying to modify your approach. I mean, I think there is some merit in just fuck it, send it, you know, and that mentality to where it's, I'm going to fire this thing out. And there's quite a bit of stuff I've done for Grimm to where I put no hashtags on it because it gets exhausting, you know? I'm like, oh, what 45 hashtags are going to help garner support and maybe get me like 35 views on one platform. So I just started adopting fuck it, send it. And I probably could keep a better handle or tighter grip on the wheel or looking at analytics but I don't know, like there's a little bit freeing to the aspect of just every now and again, instead of getting, you know, kind of snared up on tripwires or thinking about how it's going to be perceived or the best method of approach, it might just be adopting fuck it, send it mentality, you know, at least once every couple of weeks and just, you know, throwing it.
I thank you for this. Firstly, I would like to thank Oscar Wilde for that quote. I think it was Oscar Wilde. I stole that quote from Oscar Wilde. And if you're going to steal from someone, steal from Oscar Wilde. Like, hey man, everyone does it. Yeah, this is really fascinating. I mean, we're going to get into networking in a minute because reasons, but it's interesting that it's just really interesting how we are trying to give to everybody and yet we are robbing from ourselves. And this is what it comes back to for me, is that just the whole, man, I have to be so careful of what I'm saying is exhausting. And it's just got really exhausting. There comes a time to free your mind from that. And I think today is a good day. Right now is a good day to do that, because the most important person is you. And the way that you express yourself and how you see the world can't be edited, can't be censored. Because, you know, we've been fighting for laws and all that jazz for freedom of speech and creative expression and all that jazz. So, hey, utilize them. Utilize that freedom that you think you have. That it would be great if we have. This gets onto networking. Do we want to talk about networking? One thing I will say about networking is that I'm increasingly finding that networking so there's business to business, which means a band networking to a band. There is maybe we can get a tour together or be on a compilation or do a remix. There's business to industry, which is bands talking to, I think that would be a DJ or a record label. And then there's business to end user, which is my band is talking to you, the end user. And I think most of that most of my energy is increasingly going into the end user, because I'm making relationships. I'm talking to people. With other bands, I don't really have a lot of luck with other bands. I do, but you know, I don't put all of my energy into that. I have almost given up on record labels. I've given up on record labels. I have had a lot of luck with DJs. So, and the thing I've learned is that, okay, so, you know, I have mentioned this already, that, you know, like Ice Planet 9000 is now getting played on more podcasts. Remind me to talk about Tidal, by the way, if I forget. This is important. Ice Planet 9000 is getting played on more podcasts because I have emailed them, and I did it without MailChimp. I emailed them directly, and I've started conversations with them. And the thing about a lot of these people is that they are people who do ambient music. So if they go, no, your music's not really something that I'm interested in, or it's not really a good fit, I go, okay, fine. Well, I've got an ambient Spotify playlist called Space Music 1978, pimp. And if you send me a track, if you send me the Spotify link to a track, I will add it to the playlist. All I'm asking you do is pimp the playlist once across all your social media. That's all I'm asking. So if you can't help me, I can help us to facilitate helping each other. And that really works because I get a relationship with someone. As a band starting out, if you want to really impress someone, send them a copy of your CD. Even better, send them a copy of your vinyl. Because the realm of magazines, etc., is changing drastically. So I was a part of, on Monday, was it Monday? Wednesday, Pandora. Pandora's got this new thing called AMP, Artist Management Program or something. Pandora is still a thing. I believe they're a small thing, but they're a thing. And people who listen to Pandora are very, very dedicated. Pandora pay less than Spotify, just FYI. But as far as I'm concerned, look, man, I don't fucking care anymore. I just want people to hear my music. So I've been getting onto Pandora and pushing, and AMP's free to join. It's just like Spotify's pitch engines, although I will still say I think Spotify pitch engines are the best. My band is still getting played on Pandora. So look into Pandora. Just look it up, AMP, Pandora, AMP. It's free. Check it out. and start pimping your music there. And the interesting thing about it is that they don't get many people pimping there. So unlike Spotify, it's not you and a billion people. It's just you. And thank you, Razzie, for giving me that link. I'm going to copy. So this is the link for Pandora. Boom. Yes. Then what I did is when I looked at the market share of Pandora, which is small, and as mentioned, the payouts, which is very small, I then looked at Tidal, and Tidal has got hardly any AngelSpit plays and almost zero Ice Planet plays. And the Pandora's got a lot of really cool things about it, where you can push tracks. You can push up to 8 tracks. With a lot of other places, it's only 1 per band. It's fascinating that Tidal pays the most, but they do, from my understanding, they kind of have a smaller audience because the cost of Tidal is higher, like the actual opt-in for Tidal. I could be wrong on that, but a Tidal are playing hardly any AngelSpit, and I think no Ice Planet 9000. But they do have a free pimp your shit on Tidal. And you know, the more I look at this stuff, the more I understand that if you want your music played, you got to push it yourself. So I think it's really worth. Also, Apple, although they don't have a place to pitch your music, they have an option where you can download a cool little image or a cool little video and put that on your social media, and it links to your Apple stuff. Every time you do a single release, this has got to be part of your rollout, where you push this shit. And obviously Amazon also has its pimping thing as well. So utilize that stuff and get on it. I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to hear what the amazing Alex has to say. Thank you, Alex.
Well, I listened to some, I don't know, YouTube videos on how to promote music, and I felt that it's really important for you as a band to just connect with your local artists, so you know where the venues are, especially if you're new, and maybe can do gigs together. And also, like, musicians usually also like to listen to music, so potentially you can also gain some listeners. Unfortunately, I don't feel like I'm at the point where I can gig, but what I did is I followed every local band that I liked. And sometimes I even got a follow back and some interest, and asking what kind of music I make and such things. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Say much else, but
thank you. It's I think that, like, if you were doing this sort of thing, this is the sort of thing that a label does anyway. So all you have to do is jump on the magic internet Google machine, Google who are the top 10 music streaming software peoples. Then find out if they have artist support, like the pitching thing. And then every time you release something, you write yourself a little tiny bio, and that bio is like little tiny press release, like a paragraph. And that paragraph is going to become, because whenever you put something into, Spotify or, Amazon, it's going to say, why is this such a hypey track? And why do we need to get excited about it? Well, luckily, I've got my 1 paragraph sales pitch, my elevator pitch, as Aaron calls it. Pop, there it is. You're doing the same amount of work for the same, you're just copy and pasting to all of these different things. There is actually a service called Disco that does a lot of this for you, but I don't trust it. That's because I believe it's run by reptilians overlords, and they are part of the Illuminati. And if you went to the Illuminati University and you go back, that means you're an Illuminati alumni. And I am an Illuminati alumni. Yeah, I am. So whatever I am saying was fact. I've completely lost my train of thought.
Wait. We'll talk about disco.ac. Come on.
What?
Do you have some facts about that?
Check it out.
It seems amazing. I've been looking at it for a couple of weeks.
It is.
I don't know yet. I haven't bought it. I haven't pulled the trigger, but I wanted to see if anybody else we jump to the next topic. It's a big networking thing because one of the basic reasons that I heard about it was because it's a great way to put your stuff up in a password, your music files up in a password protected fashion, so you can track who gets it or give it to them for free or do whatever, industry networking wise. I think there might be a lot to it.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that side of disco. The side of disco that I was, and I stress that based on the 3 seconds that I literally 3 seconds I looked at it, it seemed to have a pitching thing for a pitch thing where you can pitch it at like title and stuff like that. And I don't know. I just mass rollout things kind of, you know, they just make me a little bit nervous because, like, for example, Tidal, is it Tidal or Pandora, doesn't have ambient. There's not an ambient criteria. You can have electronic dance music and or soundtrack. And I think Spotify's only just put industrial in there, but you have to bury. Even like I could be wrong about that. Even the fucking Orchard, who just bought out AWOL, and how much everything sucks now that fucking Orchard owns AWOL. It doesn't really have, it doesn't really have industrial, and you know, blah 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 blah. But if you do, I won't start. But nevertheless, you know, you giving a spiel about disco could be a good thing because, you know, it might be helpful to all of us humans.
I'll check it out this week.
You're the greatest human in the world, except Aaron. And now Aaron is going to speak on being amazing. Aaron, go.
I just found amongst my merchandise that Carl, Illuminati alumni, surely not all the triangles. I mean, pyramids. I mean, no, but
that has a QR code on it as well, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it did. It was on the back of them crispy bills.
I know. I'll just say really quickly, that is the most popular thing I have ever done.
That was fun.
Yeah, because it's people would leave them out, and the original ones I printed were the same color as dollar bills.
Yes.
And do you have one? I'm so impressed. I've got some somewhere.
I got a whole bunch.
Yeah, and I put on a thing on the website as, do you want me to send you 10? And I'll send them 10 for free. And people were saying, I want 100. And they were leaving them on clubs everywhere. They were really, really, there it is.
These boys.
And that's also got a QR.
Memory lane.
Interesting to know if that cue card works. Thanks for keeping that.
I'll have to battle test it. But no, it's like, I was thinking about like everything that we're talking about. Yeah, I mean, it's all in how you strategize it. And it takes a little more extra effort, you know, and it could be different platforms. And I also think about how often I'm in my car and I'm streaming things. I might not be home yet, but I'm streaming MTV TV and I'm streaming like every other artist's gig or project. Or sometimes you get caught in a loop and you go, that new track's a fucking banger and I love it and I want to keep listening to it. But where I would kind of sharpen this point of thought would be, do some of the most intriguing groups have like a splash teaser for the next track, right? Or consecutive tracks. This is the core. This is my whole thing. Here's your 10 seconds of this song. Here's 10 of the next, and here's 10 of the next. So if you're driving, cleaning, whatever you're doing, if you have split focus and you go, wait a minute, that's new, that's different. What is that? Because you're used to hearing X track, you know, and you get done listening to that. But then there's 10 seconds of something new that can trick your brain into being like, I have to see this. I have to focus this down. And then that could further garner, I don't know, more eyes to your work, QR code, imagery, But I'm just thinking about that. If we've strayed away from that, it'd be good just to bring it back to be like, you know, at the end of your new release, here's your 10-second splashes of other people's stuff, people you support, or your other tracks, just to kind of encapsulate body of work and garner some interest.
All right, man. Thank you. there's really, really good things you're saying in there. I was talking, you just reminded me, I was having a wine before about how it's difficult for me to think fresh. And it's difficult for me to, you remember in the 90s when you land on a fucking David Carlson website or something, and it was like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And there weren't moving GIFs, animated GIFs. It was just an amazing thing. Big Robot was it called? Just really amazing. When the web was this fantastic place in my dreams. So helping that situation for me is process. And I've got my, I have had to create a process that I copy and paste onto every track when it becomes available when it gets launched across all streaming platforms. And one of those things is I pimp the track on Spotify. So if you listen to Spotify, here's the link, and that goes across all social media, and it gets pimp 3 times on Twitter. Yes, I still use Twitter. Then and that's for Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, and YouTube. And why is it that YouTube has basically, unless I'm wrong with YouTube Music, it has no support for artists. Like, it doesn't have the pitching, it doesn't have any. Rezi, if I'm wrong, please let me know, because god damn it, I need.
Just ahead. Because they're algorithmic. That's the way they work. They like having the control and pushing stuff out. They just like to observe and push. They don't want the interaction. It gets in their way. It's their model. Fair
enough. I mean, like, oh my god, it's really interesting. This is what's fascinating, is that, like, I look at the streams and everything of Spotify, and it's like I acknowledge and I see that so much music is being discovered by the Spotify algorithms. And as soon as the song's out, the song gets removed from algorithms, and the people who have gone through, clicked and shared them, clicked the like button, remain. And I can actually also see how many people have come from their personal libraries or something, or external links, I think, which is going to assume that those people have come from me bugging the shit out of the internet, going, hey, listen to my new song. Which just comes down to doing the hard yards. So Spotify also has canvases, and the canvas is an 8-second long video loop. You can then use that video loop as a story on your Instagram and on your Facebook, or a short little thing you stick on bloody whatever social media, TikTok, whatever you got. So there's all of this stuff that, and then you might do a new recording saying, hey, it's Carl from Ice Planet 9000, and here's our new track, The Event, enjoy, in a really calming way because it's atmospheric. You can then use that little audio sample on Amazon. You can use, I think you can use it on Spotify. You can definitely use it on, Tidal has a thing for it, and Pandora has a thing for it as well. So you can do one little vocal pitch, and then you can use it across a whole bunch of different stations and say, for the first month it's coming out, and a lot of this shit's free, like on Pandora it's free. And on Amazon it's free as well. So my shortcoming around the difficulty I have with being creative and thinking, which is ironic, is process. That if there is a process, which is a to-do list that I copy and paste from each song, and as the songs go up, I'm refining it and making it better, then I copy and paste that onto the next one. It really helps. I hope that helped. We really didn't talk about networking, or maybe we did. I don't know, but I hope that helps. Rezi, I see your hand.
I get inspired every time you share your process list. Like, it feels right. It feels like I'm so into this, I'm going to adopt it. And I don't. I never have. I refer to your lists that you've shared, your spreadsheets and stuff, and I think, oh yeah, all of these details make sense. Not this, but this is right. I think there's something that you're touching on and that you've actually stated overtly is that I don't fucking want to do this. This is a lot of garden tending. This is a lot of work. I want to kick back and rehearse my guitar and singing song. I can do that for hours and probably feel pretty good at the end because I got a little better at it. The networking component that we're missing in that is like, what does it bring back to you? What do you actually get back? Are you looking at metrics? Are you getting a thumbs up? Are you getting a response? Are you getting a new fan? Are you quantifying a little bit so that you get a comparison between where you were and where you are now and what your return on that very difficult effort to get systematized and do the thing and tend the garden? For me, I have found that kind of feedback, and whether that's just Adam and Diana, inviting participation in MTV TV or something, or just being on this show, real world context that comes back with a couple of responses connects me with where the process is. As much as I love the process and don't want to do the process, sometimes when the process has a result that I can measure, it reinforces it a little bit, gets me into it next time.
All right, thank you. All right, 2 things I want to bring up here. 3 things. Firstly, there is MTV TV, and I just want to really quickly remind the entire world that MTV TV exists. And we have been going on and on and on and on and on and on today about how hard it is to get heard, to get seen. If you're watching on, I don't know if anybody's watching on Instagram. I have no idea. But if you're watching everywhere else, that's MTV TV. It's free. They will pay you. They will look after you. It's free. People will see it. It's free. Go support them. They've also got a Patreon. Hey, look, man, while I'm here, here's their Patreon. And when we're done here today, we're streaming over to MTV TV. That's their Patreon. Look after them. First thing. Second thing, hold on, I'm just going up to my list, is, okay, I know everybody loves to hate Spotify, but there are other really huge streaming services that are paying less than Spotify. Can we have some hate for them too, please? And then there are these other streaming services that pay more than Spotify, and yet they are doing sweet fucking jack shit to push bands out there. Oh, I can feel the negativity coming off you guys right now. I don't want to have that conversation. What I do want to have say is that if you have registered with Spotify, you get a monthly update, a weekly update and a monthly update about how the song is performing and also your plays for the month of November or whatever. The same Apple Music does that as well. It also gives you Shazams. Amazon does that as well, and I'm about to find out if Pandora and Tidal do that too. These bands that are paying me things that are paying me so much more for my music, but they're doing sweet fucking jack shit to push me. Just saying. So also every year, you get, your artist roundup for a year. And Spotify, look, I know how much we love to hate them. Their artist roundup is fucking good. And the data they supply you with for free is really, really, really good. Like, that is extremely, extremely good data. And also have a look at also YouTube as well. Have a look at the Apple Music stuff. It's good. But remember, Spotify's got this huge reach. And Spotify is going to tell you, are people listening to your music? Because I know musicians hate Spotify, but people don't. People listen to it because it's there. So you don't have to share it with the world. Just have a look at it yourselves. And I'll tell you, my doing 1 track per month thing has worked over the last month. Canvases work with Spotify. And Ice Planet 9 are releasing 1 track per month with Ice Planet 9000 works. And with ANGELSPIT, it has worked. There has been growth in those things. So pay attention to your stats. And remember, stats are like the tides. They go up and they go down. It just happens. Keep sailing your little boat. That's the moral of today and every day. Keep sailing your little boat. And don't let stats or negative words stop you from doing what you do. Is my microphone starting to distort because I'm getting really passionate about this? Yeah, all right, thanks. It's the ANGELSPIT'S sound. Thank you. Stop! Sorry. You've got to keep going. And you cannot be, like, I read it in this interview once, and I have something else to shoot my mouth off about. Like, currently on Instagram, no one's watching. I don't fucking care. We're going to keep going. And the watches across the board are, like, way down. And I know that the only people who are watching that are us. But you know what? I don't fucking care. You got to keep going. You can't let, you know how, so you get a good comment and you feel, oh, I feel so good right now. You have to be aware of that, because if you feel so good about a positive comment, you're going to feel so devastated about a negative one. You've got to learn to close that shit out, and you've got to learn to keep fucking going. You've just got to keep going. And, you know, as I was saying before, sometimes, you know, when there's when the door closes, and it's seeing lots of hands up right now. The door closes, like, is there something as a follow-up you can give away for free? For example, I was saying about the podcast with Ice Planet 9000, because Ice Planet 9000 is technically not ambient music. It is electronic instrumental music with a 70s bent. And what I've learned is that that's got a limited market. People want to hear dark ambient, and people want to hear this, that, and the other. And me pitching this to a channel which is this, that, and the other, they're not going to play it, and that's cool. But I've got another thing that I can pull out when they email me back with a reject saying, well, I've got something and I can help you because I know you make ambient music because I checked out your Bandcamp and it's good. So here's something where we can work together at least and form a relationship. Man, I totally get where you're coming from with, I just want to, I'm tired of fucking weeding. I'm currently looking at controller keyboards and foot pedals because I just want to play. I want to turn on my emulator 4. It's got an incredible sample of a big, beautiful Bosenheimer, the big, what's that piano called? The
Bosendorfer.
It's got the best fucking Bosendorfer sample I've ever heard. And then I'm going to layer it with my massive pad, and I just want to play this fucking thing. That's all I want to do. But no, there is all of this other stuff to tending the damn weeds I have to do besides dreaming about where I'm going to put roses in the future. So my thing is, when is a good time for your brain to do marketing? And my answer to that is when you're uninspired, when you are bored, when you want to watch Netflix or fucking Disney or fucking whatever. Don't turn it all off. And because your marketing plan is now on a text pad, and what I really need to do is copy and paste that text pad and send it to everyone so you can see it. And one of the things on it is send the video to MTV TV. Just saying. What was I saying? Something amazing. I forgot. Yeah, when your brain is just, I can't deal with it. I'm not in the mood for doing X, Y, or Z. It could be a good time to do marketing, because if you can do 1 hour of marketing a week, and if you know strategically what you are doing, and that means hitting social medias and blah, 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 because you're following a to-do list and a process on a text pad and you're ticking boxes. I'm going to shut up now because I want to hear what Aaron has to say, because it's always funny. Aaron, if you don't make me laugh.
Well, I got 2 things for you. No, there's a quote I'm obsessed with that I would recommend, like, writing down, printing, or get your own quotes. But it's a quote that says, like, the very clarity of the goals that consume me make me fail to realize that they are often not shared by others. So these things that you ruminate about, these goals that you love, these things that you pour yourself into, they might not always be shared by others, but it's something that kind of can bring you a little bit of calm when it comes to getting in the pocket of your art. Even if you got to fuck around with marketing, even if you got to do the weekly toil and till, or check analytics, or check stats, or just try to, weigh everything, or whatever, I would definitely recommend, print and or write something that you are in love with to put focus forward in front of you wherever you have to, do things for your craft, for your art, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then also, if I were to offer a zinger, since you want people to make you laugh, there are plenty of times where we don't know how far it's going to go with Grimm, you know, as far as just in an episode or if people are going to get it or whatever. But the small little joy I find, and it could be the same joy that everybody gets into when they're about to make music or just fucking do a bunch of awesome shit. I literally have quoted Pirates of the Caribbean while we're putting our shit on. And my buddy's putting his mask on and he says, this is either madness or brilliance. And it's when they're got the canoe above their head underwater. And he says, this is either madness or brilliance. And Sparrow says, it's remarkable how often those two traits coincide. So, like, think about that. Think about shit that makes you laugh. Think about that when you're lighting candles or turning on lights or masking up or throwing on a hood, getting ready to do whatever the fuck you need to do for your craft, for your art, because you're allowed to be silly. You're allowed to be wacky. You're allowed to do things other than toil and till and feel like you're doing your taxes. If you have to do an hour's worth of marketing every week, you can do it in a different way. You know, so I'm rambling, I'm rattling, but
yeah, and that was a great ramble because I think you nailed it, or more to the fact, Captain Jack Sparrow nailed it. And you reminded us of it. That's something to really remember. Is that if it makes you feel like you're 15, you're naughty, and you're going to get in trouble, then you're doing the right thing. You know, what was it? Madness or brilliance? What was it again?
They got the canoe and they're underwater, so they've got an air pocket and they're trying to like sneak around. But Will says this is either madness or brilliance, and Sparrow just says it's remarkable how often those two traits coincide, and it's fucking brilliant because it's just something you could have a chuckle about when you're literally priming up your mic and you're like, hey, microphone check 1 or 2, you know, and you're putting your shit together and you're getting ready to get in the pocket, or you got your glass of water, you're going to record vocals, or you're just going to throw some wacky shit down and you don't know what direction it's going to take, but it's fucking hilarious just to remind yourself this is either madness or brilliance, or they just might coincide.
And that's a really important quote because, you know, when you get that feeling of what the fuck am I doing, usually means you're on the right track. I think so anyway. But anyway, hey man, thank you. Alex, talk to me.
Yeah, about not listening to the numbers. I think I'm probably the person who listens to my music the most, and I think that's okay because I don't know. At least it makes me happy. I wanted to frame that different, but anyway, like, yeah.
Okay, thank you. You just got to keep going, man. And everyone, you got to keep going. You've just got to fucking keep going. Here's Resi, go. Resi.
Yeah, I love that sentiment. I mean, there's a long history. There's the human species' long tradition of enjoying creating music either by yourself or with people, and that if there's no central pleasure to it, then what are you even fucking doing anyway? So, second that.
And thank you. Once again, we come back to having fun.
I don't know how much fun it is if our host locks up and freezes, but
yeah.
Since that's where we're at, we've got
the max headroom thing again.
Yeah. We'll give him some time to reconnect or decongest or whatever it is. But does anybody want to jump in with anything? I don't have a prepared next thing, but he did end with the word fun, and then something ostensibly fun occurred, and in the context of practice or the forcing yourself to do music. What is fun about that, Aaron?
I don't want to feel like I'm blathering or constantly fucking.
That's what we're here for.
No, I think it bears repeating 100,000 fucking times. Never once has somebody boot jacked my door open and be like, "What are you doing?" You know, like they're not. You know, are you up to fucking weird shit again? Do you got the fog machine going? Are you fucking around with ghoulies and whatever? It's like But again, it's like you get so trapped up in your own headspace. But who's to say that you can't, just cut the lights and have whatever glowing and whatever going, and just, set the aroma thing going that sets up puffs of smoke and whatever your jam is, do that, because it's a lot of things. If you don't alter the space, if you don't switch the room, if you don't take it down or bring it up, I mean, like, I've got all my lights on right now and whatever, but if I want a different dynamic, I mean, holy shit, it's literally night and day between thought processes or ingenuity or creativity, or things that could be the things that inhibit you from doing things could be the regular shitty lamp that, casts light down from your fan in your living room every single day that you walk in. It's the everyday thing to where, okay, I guess I'm gonna sit down, eat dinner, veg out, and go to bed. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it doesn't have to be every single day as a creative day. But holy shit, is there really a dynamic shift if you go, no, lamp light's got to go, this can get fucked, and I'm not eating food yet, I'm just going to put it off for a couple hours and just lock in to the creative deal, and just for shits and grins just do something that's wildly different.
Aaron, and anybody else who wants to answer after that, how much do you combine that with your just day-to-day experience of being you, the craft, the fun, the work? Does that identify yourself, or do you have a separate personality for flipping and doing the light switch rave with the fog machine?
No, it's just, I mean, there are just some days where, like, I just get home and I'm like, I can't do this shit. Like, I've booted up the PlayStation, I'm ready to rock, I'm ready to go. And then I'm like, I could spend 3 hours on a time sink and I could play these fucking games and whatever else, and again, I'm not saying that that's not inherently helpful or stress reducing but there are just some days where I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I have to go into the Grim studio and I have to do something, and it's not always out of a deadline obligation, although sometimes that's in my subconscious, like, I haven't posted anything in a while. But there are plenty of times, just for shits and grins, to answer about thought process, that's literally the night and day shift between, I could try to do vocals for a character, and they're not going to hit the same way if I'm in a fully lit studio. It's just not going to happen. But
Absolutely.
If I go in a closet and I darken the lights out and there's green light or there's candles or there, it's a whole different shift, and I dress as Bête Noir, it's fucking game on.
So there's a confluence between the personally replenishing fun and the identity fun that is part of your work, your craft, and I think that's really powerful and important. Yeah. And since Carl's back, I'm going to pass it to him and say welcome. I think you ended on the word fun, and we sort of took off from there. And if I'm not mistaken, Alex says the streams are still up, so we're still going. And it looks like Brett's probably got the next comment if we want to jump to something really fun from the depths of your shadowy realm there.
Brett, it's all yours. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so as far as lately, some fun things I found. FL Studios recently dropped a new update. They included a whole bunch of sound packs, just stupid loops and stuff. And it actually takes me back to the acid days and kind of put me in the same camp as Adam there. And I just kind of found that was a whole lot of fun, just grabbing a bunch of stuff that I didn't even spend any time on, sticking it together, cutting it up, mutilating the crap out of it until I liked it again. So that was fun. That was my 2 cents.
Thank you so much. And a really quick question. You said, are we still streaming?
The YouTube is still running.
Okay. Well, no, we're apparently still streaming. Okay, thank you so much. Alex, hit me.
Yeah, how much my creative project and how much not? I would say I'm 100% the person which is the same entity making my music, but sometimes I think it would be better if I had some sort of separation. But also, I started to, I made the mistake of buying VST on Black Friday sale. But the upside is that I just started to open Ableton and just mess around with it when I'm bored. And that's so great because I recorded like 7 samples for my sampler. It's amazing. Like it's like not the best shit ever, but it's still good fodder for future sessions. And I think it's a much better time than just mindlessly watching YouTube. So I'm glad that happened.
Carl, are you still working on the streams and stuff? Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, like, even this is a great conversation anyway. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're still streaming. If I just asked if Instagram's still streaming, I don't know. I had a glitch. They're working on the internet here, so thank you again for covering me there. But please keep going. This sounds like a great conversation that I just walked in on.
I think there's a fun little corner of identity, and sometimes we express it with cosplay. Sometimes we become David Bowie or Lady Gaga or Marilyn Manson, and create a whole persona in a like a fantasy land separation. And I think we talk about it as building our temple or our church, and turning on our colored lights and making a sacred space. And I don't know how to really express this. I've never thought of it through, but there are times, maybe somebody else has felt this too, when I feel a connection to a persona that I've invented in a song or a lyric. And I become that person a little bit more. And I stop thinking about reality and the mundane and the fantasy world. The story becomes more prominent, and it can go for days. I can think about how they talk and what their choice of words are and what they might wear and who they might associate and how they might feel about stuff differently. And man, as far as a fun part of the thing, that's a real gift that's the music and the creative work can do. And maybe somebody's had more of a problem with it, where there could be stability or breach with reality that doesn't feel as comfortable. Does anybody have any experiences with that? Like how that might creep into their work and how it might inform their grip on carrying on day to day outside of the creative work or within it? Brett?
So I've kind of mentioned this before, but I mean, well, and everyone's got their own things, but one of the things I can deal with is some anger issues in that regard. So yeah, this was the demon hate is a mechanism of mine. Originally the character was simply I hate you, hate you, and as the years went on in different projects, some of them not musical at all. Things like I ran a really dark humor site called The Third Shift. It was all done black and red. And we had games that would actually shut your computer down if you failed. And so that's where this kind of demon character kind of became like the antagonist, and what I found, both accidentally and real life, is that some of these personas that are very much mine had interesting unintended consequences. And one of those was that it stopped giving a persona of someone you could fuck with. And that has its own pluses and minuses. And a lot of what I've found is that over the years, there's a very real element that you have to keep of all of those things, because they're all very important. They didn't come from nowhere, and they very much serve a purpose. They're cogs in your human machinery. But if you let the characters have full control, then it can be a problem. And you'll find that comes with any human being. It's like that. It's like, you talk about just anyone who, gets pissed off, and then all of a sudden they get to that point where it's like, now I'm enjoying it, like the person you've punched, and all of a sudden they start laughing and they're like, do it again. There's defense mechanisms, and there's all kinds of mechanisms that happen in the human brain, and all these things are things that every human being deals with. And artists have a kind of unique ability to crystallize elements of those into things that they can share with humanity. Some of that's fun, some of it's not. And I guess if anything, where I'd tie it all together, it's all just the ride.
Thank you so much for tying that into the creative work and for sharing some really interesting and personal stuff. Aaron, I know you have characters. I've seen them.
Well, what I think is interesting too, I mean, it's like if you get caught up on your own speed bumps or tripwires to where you're like, I want to say that, or I don't know if this, you know, if this is reflective of my project or my work or whatever. If you get to a point where you feel like it's deviating, I don't think you should shy away from it. You know, if anything, you might want to hit the throttle a little bit and be like, let me see where this goes. Obviously, within a good, you know, keep a hand on the wheel. But the point would be, you know, this music may never see the light of day, and I might bury it in a fucking, you know, in a time capsule, or, you know, put this in a casket, you know, fucking bury it. Or there might be, but what I'm getting at is there is method and madness. There is a good side of studying what they would call like shadow works, like the darker side of anything and everything, because if you, it just feels very suffocating to me if you're constantly being like, you know, I don't know if I should be able to say this, that, or the other. I'd be like, fuck it. Hack would say that. Slash would absolutely say that. Every other character could be that reflection of how much they loathe, test, or despise sovereignty, leadership, bad leadership, the world at large, greed, pride, arrogance, da 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 da. And sometimes just it goes into the deepest, darkest dive, and it pours out through Bête Noire. Bête Noire is just noxious, poisonous, wicked stories, evil, dark shit. And I'm not trying to grandstand my own project. I'm just saying Bête Noire is the catalyst for like, holy fuck, how dark is the deepest pit and how far does that go? Oh, wait, you hit the bottom of Hades. Nah, you ain't made it to Tartarus yet. So there's freedom and like, holy fuck, I could pour all of this just vile sludge. It can go straight through. And then in a positive twist, it comes out through Bête Noire. It's Stratocasted through Bête Noire. And he's not palatable to everybody else, nor should he be. You know, there's a lot of things that kind of make you reel back, but there is an inherent joy in being able to be like, I could flush all this wicked shit like out, and it could channel, and it could be off to the side, and it's not entrapping me in everyday activity, if that makes any sense.
This is really wonderful. And Rezi, thank you so much for covering me. And everyone, thank you so much for covering me. Sorry about that glitch. It's really interesting you say that you know, that I've dedicated energy today saying there's all this shit I can't say, but if I come up with a character, they can say it. And the audience doesn't need to know that it's a character, because as far as they're concerned, the guy in the band's a character, or the guy, you're a character whether you like it or not. To become a character who can say these things, that's fucking amazing. Thank you, Aaron. Ivan, I want to hear your brain.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, when a much younger me, you know, got into software development, it was because it was fun. And then I turned it into a job, and then they added project managers, and then it stopped being fun. I do this because it is fun. You know, like there's nothing more enjoyable than just like kicking back and making up some new patches on one of the synths, or, you know, making a drum line and coming up with a bass line and, you know, putting together music, you know, just creating, because that's fun. And, you know, I like to keep it that way. I saw an interesting interview with Anna Platonova this week. She's from a Russian band called Vintage. And she suggested that one of the really important features of a good adult is to retain a little bit of that like childish joy. And I think this is a place where that can happen, and why the hell not run with it? Because like that's great.
Okay, I am 5 shades of agreement with this. Oh my God, my computer is still here. Yeah, this is great. I'm sorry. Rosie, talk to me.
Ivan, if you don't mind, tying that sort of sense of what you enjoy, and also you're another person on the panel who has mentioned some very character-based decisions that you've made about how to present your stuff, and you didn't mention it. Do you want to? Because I'm interested.
I don't know if like that part, it's fun. I don't know if it's necessary, but it is fun, which maybe makes it necessary. And like also, I think having a persona, it does free you to kind of point and laugh at the dominant paradigm, because like that must always have somebody pointing and laughing at it, because otherwise it's unchallenged, and that goes to darker places than we can imagine really fast. So, putting on the costume and changing the lighting and making the environment, that place where the music happens or the creation happens, and it does make it more fun. It gives you the ability to be a little bit bad in the right way.
Yeah, once again, it's the sandpit. It's the playpen, and you gotta you gotta make it fun. You gotta figure out how can you make your studio work environment more fun and open to you being a crazy kid, because it's important to be a crazy kid. Very, very, very important to be a crazy kid. Yes. Does anybody else want to throw in anything else on this? I've realized we're streaming onto Instagram still, but I don't think I can turn it off. That's going to be interesting. Resi, hit me.
Just real quick, back to Carl, what you were saying. The sandpit has, to torture the metaphor a little bit more, it's got borders for a reason, to keep the sand from being really diffuse and thin. You get a deeper sandpit that way. And there's something to it. I'm not totally convinced that we've all come up with and keep it in place. There's some spill out into the real world that I think all of us enjoy, participate in also, that might be something to think about in the coming weeks, and consider where those borders are and how diffuse they can be and should be.
Yeah. And maybe we should start expanding those borders a bit too, because everything's got so serious, hasn't it? Just, that jester in you that says you are allowed to do these things, you are encouraged to do these things, that jester needs to speak more, play more, get up to a bit more mischief. Maybe you should try and laugh at something that you think you're not supposed to laugh at, but you used to laugh at because you think it's funny, but you don't laugh at it. God, I wish I'd take my own advice. Does anybody else want to throw in on this, or we've reached a very nice place for us to petition? Diana, if you're there, can you just put a message, because all my messages got wiped in the chat. If you're in, because we're gonna bail. We're going to MTV TV every Saturday morning at this time. Am I allowed to do this? Yes, we are here. We're gonna watch it on Twitch, or we're gonna try all these different things, but it's mainly going to be Twitch. This is ANGELSPIT'S Patreon. For as little as $3 a month, you can help me going, and I really appreciate it. And we're building such a wonderful community here. Bastard Gods is ANGELSPIT'S new album. I'm very proud of it. It's very malicious, and that's good. There's a great Spotify playlist called the Industrial Incisions playlist. Many of those bands are here. Go listen to it. There's some old tracks and some new tracks Go enjoy it. But right now, hopefully, we're going to right on to MTV TV. And there's a whole bunch of really cool music that is there. Your new favorite band is there. And if you're in a band, send your track to them, and your new audience is there. So I don't have an out screen. So Diana, I don't know, Diana, I can't see you if you're there. I'm going to try and set up a raid from here. Carl is just so professional. It does hurt my skull sometimes. Super professional Carl as we raid to MTV TV because I don't have a fucking out thing anymore. Apparently we're raiding right now. Oh my God, no, go away for the love of God. This is great. All of my passwords are now, my computer's going, no, wait, you have to prove you're Carl. It's like, I can't prove my Carl. Why would I want to prove that I'm Carl? No matter where you're watching, we're going to try and set up a raid. If the raid goes through, the raid goes through. Failing that, we are going to go to MTV TV. So all you have to do is click this link, click the link, and we'll see you over there watching some awesome music. You rock supremely. Goodbye.